Welcome to the Call Dad podcast with your host, Call Dad CEO and visionary, Matt Posda. And this week's guest, Head of Marketing and Brand Experience, Katie Biddle.
All right, so, Miss Katie Biddle.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
All right, so for those, I'm sure pretty much everybody in the company knows you, but for those who don't, who are you? What do you do? What's your position?
Yeah, Katie Biddle, head of marketing and brand experience or customer experience, depending on who you talk to. They go hand in hand with each other, so kind of same principle thing. I run our social media. I work with our digital marketing agency. Everything digital. A lot of time spent listening to calls. So I still work really closely with Amy on some things. Everything marketing and brand experience, from writing line items on invoices to writing the technicians dispatch notifications, taking pictures, all that fun stuff. Basically anything that touches a customer.
Yeah, and a lot of brand voice related stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Which is what you're talking
blogs.
about, like, well, with some of the commentary that goes out on text, some of the commentary that goes out, some of the commentary that people hear on the phone, stuff, just random little brand tidbits. You spend a lot of time trying to make them all be cohesive, right?
Yes, and it helps having one person do that. So it is kind of someone who's passionate about the brand and knows what you want, what the company stands for, how everything works. I actually just recorded a new dad joke for our hold music today.
Okay, awesome. You say trying to make sure that it says what I want. How difficult is that, considering that every day I change what I want and what I want things to say?
When I take something to you, I never know how you're going to react.
Yeah.
It depends on the day.
Now, to be fair, I warned you about that before, multiple times before, right?
Yes.
Would you say that my warnings, bared fruit in terms of?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right, good. I'm glad we got that out of the way. But yeah, you have spent, an immense amount of time since the rebrand trying to get, and again, we're still a long way from where we ultimately will be with the voice across the brand, but you've spent a lot of time trying to get everything on the same page, right?
100%.
Yeah.
I've spent probably three hours working on invoice line items. What does something do? Yeah. There's just so many things that you don't think about that touch a customer, and being creative in ways that we communicate with them and share information, whether it be a text message afterward and follow up. It's just, it really never ends.
Yeah. And it's hard because for different, if you just think in the context of a dad, right, in different circumstances, you're going to get different responses from different dads. Yes. So it's how do we frame what is dad's voice, and in what circumstances does dad respond certain ways?
Correct.
And that's, the first reminder for a maintenance may be different than the third time that your dad's telling you to do something, right?
All right, kiddo, let's get your rear end gear.
Yeah.
Yes.
To don't make me tell your mother, right? It's like, so we've got, it's fun to go through the process, but it's also immensely complicated. Because that example is just one small facet of, if you think about the hundreds, probably thousands at this point of pages that we've got on the website, like just so many endless things that need tweaked and monitored and updated on a consistent basis from voice. All that bears on your shoulders, right?
It sure does.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you've been in the trade for how long?
20 years.
Yeah. A while, right?
Yes.
Was it the first thing that you went into? Or
basically, I sold furniture for a while. That was my first job. And then I worked another retail job, which is where Matt Stewart's mom found me.
Found you, yes.
Recruited me to the trades.
Yeah. Which you've regretted it ever since.
I have not. I actually dropped out of college to take that opportunity because I did see how much it could affect my future, how profitable it could be for my personal life, not only for growth, but monetarily too.
There's something weird about home services, at least for me, definitely with HVAC, but it kind of draws you in, right? And most people know my experience and my story at my home with the home service business that kind of started my trajectory. Did you know very early on, once you started, that this industry is my career, this is where I want to be? Or was it something that you kind of slowly over time became more, or fell in love with, or whatever you want, however you want to view it? Which path did you go down?
Well, I would say that we were an airtime company. If you're not familiar with airtime, it's basically, they'd give you all sorts of training, like from CSRs to sales coordinators to comfort advisors. And I love that growth aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like, I can learn something here. I can do something, and even if I don't stay in it forever, I always have this skill set to fall back on.
Yeah.
And I found I was really good at being on the phone, and that little ego boost there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved Matt's parents.
Yeah.
They were great to work for the most part. And
we can edit that little pause out. No, I'm
just
kidding.
So they were great to work for. I worked there.
People
about
have said that
7
about
years.
Matt too, so I don't know.
Maybe not so much. Just kidding. I was good at it. So when I left there, moved to Charlotte, just found another role and just kind of floated around a bunch of different companies, new construction, little companies, big companies.
Yeah.
I've learned a little bit along the way, and each one has really set me up to be able to do very well here.
Yeah. Yeah. So you knew, based on what you saw from airtime, that this is something that I can grow in. Is that basically, like, you saw the long-term vision of this industry is growing, I like the setup of it, but I'm at least protected because it's a skill set that can apply to a variety of industries.
Exactly. Well, specifically home services. When Matt called me and told me about the opportunity here, I was in plumbing.
Yeah.
Service type is something that's very complicated that I'm certified administrator with. So that's something I can take anywhere at any time.
Even at service time, people tell you it's complicated.
They sure do.
Yeah.
There's a million ways to do everything. Well, just tell me the one that works the best.
Tell me which one. Yeah. So, plumbing company, Matt called you.
Yes. He said he'd been talking to you for a couple years about, hey, when we get to this scale, Katie can come in and she can really help us with the call center.
Yeah.
She had managed a call center before. It wasn't my absolute favorite role that I've had in HVAC, but I did enjoy it, and again, always been really good on the phone and being able to translate that knowledge to other people.
Why was it not your favorite?
I'm a little bit of a pushover at times, so I'm not great at managing people. I don't really like confrontation. So that's the big thing. Like, I enjoy the training aspect of it. I love the people, but when it comes down to like the hard disciplinary things, I get in my feelings about it.
Yeah. And you've said that, I mean, is pretty much as long as I've known you, you've not been a huge fan of dealing with the management duties of management.
Correct.
Which again, is a case study to hear. Like, not everyone has, because we're always creating so many opportunities. We're always doing, like, people sometimes get the perception that if they don't raise their hand that they want to be in management one day, that they're going to be looked down on or, pushed to the side or, rejected from the culture or whatever. And that's absolutely not the case. So I know you mentioned this to me several times, and we've been talking about it a lot lately, but your perspective on coming to the realization that you did not want to be in a long-term management position, and that's not something that you enjoy or saw yourself doing. How did you feel that went from your perspective within our culture?
I explained it to everyone, I love creative. I've always been a creative person, artsy, I paint, just a whole long list of things that I love to do that are creative.
What do you paint?
I do acrylic paintings.
Yeah. So just what I don't know much about painting, as probably hopefully by the questions that I'm going to ask you, but acrylic that's non-oil based.
I think so. It says acrylic on it. That's what I know.
What are you paint? Are you painting like landscapes, or are you like
Landscapes,
Derek, where you're
abstracts.
painting, an abstract cool down kid to put behind your desk?
It's very similar to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
almost exactly
Cool.
the same.
Okay.
I don't know
Yeah.
what kind of, if he uses oil based or what it is.
Yeah.
I just know it's called acrylic, and I like doing it.
And you like to do it, yeah.
And the little bottle says acrylic.
Yeah. It's probably the best answer that you could have given. All right. So you like creative, you were saying?
Yes. Yes, I sat down in my PDP and I talked to you and to Matt Stewart and just said, I don't want to do this. Can I do it? Yes. Can I get better at it? Yes. Do I enjoy it? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Kind of burned out on it. I've done it for quite some time. I want to do something new. So 2 weeks later, I did something new.
Yeah. And how has it felt so far?
Very passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yes. It's where my heart is.
Yeah.
I can't describe it, but when we made the shift to Call Dad, like I really resonated with everything, every part of it.
Yeah.
So it's just a natural fit.
Yeah. So has it, for you from the management perspective, has that been difficult for you to navigate?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Not really. I mean, there's some things that, because marketing and customer service are so hand in hand with each other, it was kind of hard to let go of some aspects of it. But other than that, it's been a really smooth transition.
Yeah. Yeah. And marketing, what's your favorite part other than creative about marketing?
Other than creative?
Yeah.
I don't know, finding operational stuff that can be fixed.
Yeah.
Like things that we can do better in other areas based on marketing, which sounds wild, but I see all kinds of stuff that we could maybe do better as far as our text and our invoices. Things I see when I'm putting revenue into Google calls.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Especially on the voice side, you're seeing so many different aspects of the business on a daily basis that there's just, you're probably constantly coming up with ideas or constantly seeing things, and it's hard to keep that in one solid direction whenever you're touching so many different things.
It is. And sometimes it's like, well, should I tell them? It seems piddly, but maybe it's going to be a big deal sometime to make that differentiator, whether I should reach out to someone in another department or mention something, or just kind of let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you there. All right. So where do you see the future of The Voice?
I think you're going to be having a meeting in a few weeks about kind of where we want to take things.
Yeah.
The next step.
Yeah.
I want to take weekends and make it a big thing.
Yeah.
Because we want to keep the guys busy, working, just as much on their days that they're working in the week as on the weekend.
Yeah.
Especially during shoulder season.
Yeah.
So we're working on a lot of things with that. I see us going more in that direction, making it more sticky in people's brains, that we're here regardless of when you need us. Just call that.
Yeah. All right. So one thing that we didn't talk about, that you were here and saw me go through the whole process. What about the shift of the brand? What was your perspective when all that came about? When I initially told you what was going on and why we were doing it, how did you react?
I knew you'd been struggling with it, and I just wanted you to see you find some peace with it.
Yeah.
If that was the avenue, then great.
Yeah.
You're a leader. I trust you with what we do with the company. But I also knew the company we were working with and how they had transformed a company I worked with prior.
Yeah.
So that was a little reassuring.
Yeah.
I was very confident that we would have a lot of success with it.
Yeah. While I'm crazy, I'm not completely and utterly crazy.
You're not crazy at all.
So,
you just waver a little bit. Depending
every now
on
and
the
then
day.
I dabble in crazy a little bit. All right. So when I told you, obviously I sat a group of leaders down and told them my struggle and why I made that choice. Was your perspective immediately like, yeah, let's do it? Or was it, what the heck is he doing? Or what was your initial reaction whenever I announced, not necessarily to the full company, but when it was the small group of leaders and I was telling what I was doing?
you did a good job of painting the picture of the why behind it.
Yeah.
Which is important for me to be able to believe in something.
Yeah.
So once you painted that picture, and then we did the brand reveal and all the logos and trucks and everything, I was all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you believed in it relatively quick.
That's safe to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest challenge for you with regard to brand voice?
Brand voice, what tone to take sometimes, whether we want to be serious or playful, or whether we want to take that good fatherly advice kind of approach.
Yeah.
And sometimes feeling a little bit more like so bought in that it's stupid.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
why are you being crazy about this?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
everyone's
Like the
going to be a
gimmicky,
psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing, is just knowing which tone to use in which situation. I made a joke on the phone with a customer complaint the other day. I wasn't sure how it was going to go over.
So what was the complaint and what was the joke?
Well, the complaint, we got the wrong part out of the box from the manufacturer.
Yeah.
And she was just upset about communication. It had taken us a while to get back with her. I said, well, that wasn't very cool.
Yeah.
Literally. It went over well, but it very well could have not landed at all.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So talk about complaints for a minute. That was a funny underlaugh.
Sure was.
I describe your personality as somebody who cares a lot. Sometimes you care too much. I tell you that.
Yes.
Do you share? I know my perspective on the negative feedback, and for all of you listening here at Call Dad, we've talked about this a lot. That the negative feedback is really, we should be viewing that in an incredible positive light, right? Because love and hate sit on that same end of the spectrum, opposite of indifference. And our old brand, we typically we did sit on the indifferent side. So now that we're over on the love-hate, we're going to get a lot of negative feedback from people who say, call Dad, that's a terrible name. Call your daddy, just whatever it is. Your stupid ads don't make any sense. I had to go to your website to find you, right? All that type of feedback that we get on a consistent basis. And I got the benefit because of working with Wizards for an extended period of time. I got prepped for that. And I probably, honestly, they mentally shifted me, whether through hypnosis or whatever. Subconsciously, they shifted me into this mindset that I actually thrive on. When we get negative feedback, to me, that means that the ads are working. That means that we're connecting with the community. Sometimes not in a good way, right? But we hear that the negative means that the positive is out there. And obviously we're seeing the impacts of positive on a consistent basis, right? But every time we get a negative, I made a comment, this was last week, that, hey, we haven't gotten any negative feedback in a while. But the reality is, I think the company's gotten used to it, that a lot of it doesn't filter up to me the way that it used to, or it's not as visceral sometimes as it used to be. But I got to this point where, like, I enjoy negative feedback. Like, it makes me, when somebody says that they hate our brand, to me, that's validation that what we have created, and a lot of times it's the people that are saying that they hate our brand, that we're like, oh, that makes sense.
Yes.
I don't think you would like what this brand stands for. Were you that way out of the gate? Did you, the first negative feedback, back to what I was originally saying, that you care so much, do you take it personally? Does it impact you different than it impacts me?
I think we're a bit of the same mindset, because you did prep us for that very, very well.
Yeah.
You're going to get hate, where love and hate fall on the spectrum, that they're close. You have to have love to have hate for something, too.
Yeah.
So I was prepared for it. And I'd also worked at a company that received a lot of hate, but they're on the phone with you and they're doing business with you. So I'd had some experience dabbling in a brand like that.
Yeah. So
it wasn't a shock to me. I was prepared. You did a good job with that.
Yeah. What's your favorite story of hate?
Oh, I have a guy who hits our Facebook, and he talks about how he would like to set a bowl of milk out in the hot sun and then eat Cheerios before he would listen to our radio ad. And then there was someone.
You know what you should do is you should be like challenge accepted.
Film yourself doing it.
Yeah. It will pause ads on the station that you listen to for a week.
I might go hit the thread. That was back in May that he said that. And then just this past weekend, right now it's, July 18th?
Yeah.
17th? Yeah, 18th. He hit it again with a different ad, complaining about a different ad, the same thread on Facebook.
Yeah.
So we're best friends now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
There was one, this was recent too, wasn't it, where a guy called, he called it like 11:30 at night, and didn't he demand to speak to the marketing department or something like that? What did he say? What was that?
I don't remember the specifics of that one. I know he was cussing up a storm at one of the VAs.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting call to listen to.
It's usually the consistent message that I hear on a lot of the negative feedback is that you guys don't say what you do. I had to go to your website to figure out what you do. But in reality, we are saying what we're doing, right? We call that AC and heating, and then the end, the little, jingle and all. Like, we're saying what we're doing. It's just some people it's not sinking in, but they're taking that extra step to go find us because they're remembering us.
Exactly. So it is sinking in. Some people just don't listen closely enough, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm working on a mean tweets. If you watch Jimmy Fallon's mean tweets, I'm working on a compilation of different employees reading complaints
the
like
complaint feedback.
Matt's mom needs to be fired from radio. And she needs a job.
It's not my mom. It is not my mom.
Fair. They don't know that though.
That's usually the question I get is like, are the stories true? Is that your real mom? Like that's the type of questions that I get that I always have to clarify.
Well, I found out when I went to do the Mother's Day feature on our Facebook that she had no idea that there was an impersonator of her on the radio.
Really?
Yes.
How'd you find out?
Well, no, you told me. I said, does she know? You said, I don't
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
think
about
so.
I don't think she does. Yeah. That's funny.
That was really funny.
All right, so what is, what would you say, shifting topics a little bit, what do you love about this industry? What makes you passionate about, not just Call Dad, we talked a lot about Call Dad, but what makes you passionate about home services?
I love the hustle and bustle of the seasons. You have your crazy busy, the day goes by in like 5 seconds, making money, and then there's the shoulder season where you have time to plan and not take it easy, but work in a different way. It keeps things fresh.
Yeah.
I like doing things different and learning about new stuff. So that gives you a chance to take a breather and do the new stuff before you get into that insanity season again.
Yeah. If you had one piece of advice for somebody getting into this industry, what would that be?
Depends on, are we talking a technician? Or?
You can talk anything, because we've talked about this a lot. I think a lot of the new people getting into this industry haven't fully, even though there's only so much you can say, right? To try and prepare somebody for what summer is like.
Yes.
But the first time that you go through summer, it's like nothing you've ever experienced, right? But the reality is, we provide an incredible essential service for the communities that we serve. And just because, the business is hard and it's the hardest time of year to provide that business doesn't mean that we can stop providing it for our customer base, especially when they rely on us and they rely on our brand and they rely on these services, right? So it becomes a very complicated time of year to balance that need with the responsibility to the company and the staff and all that, right? So I would say whether it's back office, whether it's front office, whether it's phone, whether it's, service tech, whether it's helper, whether it's installer, whatever the position is, that first summer is a shock, right? So somebody like you who's been in it 20 plus years, do you still feel that pain of the summer? Was it the same for you very early on? Like, what advice do you have for somebody coming into this industry and somebody who's been in it for a very long time, right?
It's a lot of mental preparation.
Yeah.
Like, you know what to expect after a certain amount of time, but you still get into the peak of it. You're like, I forgot what this is like.
Yeah.
But and I was just telling one of the installers this morning, keeping a vision on your goals.
Yeah.
I'm working all of this for this reason.
Yeah.
Preparing yourself at the beginning of the day. I'm going to be hot all day. I'm going to be on the phone all day. I'm going to get stressed.
Yeah.
Like, getting yourself prepared, doing a little meditation, a couple woosahs.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about preparation for busy season, that's 100% my advice.
So you're saying, just if I'm to try and explain what you're saying, you're saying just mentally get yourself mentally prepared that it's coming, and mentally prepared for each day with regard to what's ahead.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think acceptance is a big thing on that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm accepting that today is going to be chaos. I'm accepting I'm going to be insanely hot all day today.
Yeah.
If you prepare yourself, it's a little easier when it actually happens.
Yeah. And it's always tough, right? Because it ebbs and flows so fast in this industry that, at one point it's too much and it's overwhelming, and then the next moment it's not enough.
Yes.
And I joke all the time about my manic personality with regard to, which is probably not fair to people who are manic out there, but my manic personality of, like, one day it's this, one day it's that, one day it's this. But that's the reality of this industry. It is very manic in terms of not only how it has to be managed, but also how the weather dictates the influx of calls and all that. And again, rambling here, but that's why, like, service agreements are so important. That's why all these other aspects, because we just try and take that, manic type influx of customer base and all that out of the business, right?
Quickly, when I was a dispatcher and someone would complain about having too many calls, I would say, hey, this moment right here, when you're complaining about not having hours in about 3 months, I'm going to remind you of this very moment. So ingrain it in your brain.
Yeah. But it's hard. Like, we as humans forget very quickly, right?
Yeah, recency bias.
Yeah. That's why I say that probably too much, but, like, for me personally, I always struggle more so going into busy or out of busy than I do when I'm actually busy. Yes. Right? It's you said about preparation. It's that transition phase, whether it's in or out. It's the transition that's always been difficult for me. I either have that initial procrastination to turn it on, or I've got the procrastination in terms of struggling to turn it off.
Yes.
And that for me has always been the struggle. But I think that's because going through so many different cycles for so long, versus back to that original question that I asked, the first time, like, you're warned about it. But it doesn't matter how many times you're warned. It's a difficult thing to understand what it is until you experience it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How about call dad? You're, one piece of advice we said for people that are coming into the industry. What about call dad? What, the voice, the culture. You hear me talk about the culture all the time. What piece of advice would you have for somebody new to call dad with regard to what our culture is like? What are the benefits? How to succeed? What are the challenges?
I would just say soak everything up. Soak everything up as far as podcasts, advice you can get from people who have been here longer, all of our location managers, Matt, just about everyone who's been here for any length of time is going to be a good resource to talk about where you want to go, what you want to do. And I'd say challenges, because we're so spread out, it can be a little disjointed at times for us. I'd say that would definitely be the biggest challenge for us is having consistent communication across all of the company being in 2 states.
Yeah. And that's something that's hard because I can't show up and tell you to connect with somebody at a different location. There is a little bit of onus on the individual to be willing to connect with others. But the thing that is unbelievable, I feel this, obviously, again, I'm biased, but I feel this is that the vast majority of people on the team are receptive to communication from others. And if you pick up the phone and call somebody, or if you're at a company meeting, or if you just reach out across, location, departments, whatever it is, you're going to find somebody receptive on the other side.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many times I've called people. I've probably called everybody in this company at one point or another for whether it be for CSRs or marketing, regardless of the department I'm in. And I've never had anyone just be flat out rude or say no. Everyone's always been willing to help. I can't think of one time they weren't.
Yeah. All right. What questions you got for me?
I don't think I have any.
All right.
Caught me off guard with that.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Come on.
I was going to say, give me about 5 minutes and I'll come back with something good.
And then you'll come back with something good. Oh, no. We can't do that. It can't be good questions.
End of interview.
Yeah, exactly. Cut. All right. Well, look, one thing we did not talk about, it'll be past by the time that this gets out in the ether, but Friday, you said this, right? Friday is 2 years. Is it Friday that's 2 years? Tomorrow.
Thursday.
So Thursday is 2 years.
Hard to believe.
Yeah. Is it, we were joking about this earlier. Does it feel like 2 years going on 18? Or is it?
It feels a lot longer. So I was at a plumbing company because I wanted a summer off.
Yeah.
And then Matt called me and messed that plan all up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it here. I've never been so fulfilled at any other job and gotten along with all of my coworkers than I have here. And you kind of like it.
To put it in perspective in that way, you've accomplished 18 years worth of work in 2 years.
I mean, in Call Dad years, yes.
Yeah, because we're basically a new company every 6 months.
Correct.
Both of you could attest to that, Jerry. All the stuff that you see. So, how many different positions have you had?
Gosh, 3, 4.
Yeah. So, how many different positions have you had?
Well,
3.
1 on 3.
Yeah. So, everybody here is experienced and saying. So, yes, I can see the 18-year perspective.
Yeah, it just feels a little longer.
Yeah. But that's because you've accomplished so much. But that's awesome.
We have
2 years. Yeah. And it's also your birthday on Saturday. And I'm not going to say which birthday it is. As somebody who just joined that club myself. But anyway, well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule today to join us. I hope everybody has benefited from your story. We'd love to have you back and talk more. Happy anniversary and happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
All right, Katie, you're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.